What is your most disturbing, scary, or creepy real story? About 2 years ago, I was driving home from a family reunion pretty late at night. The drive was about 2 hours and I didn't stay the night because I had to be back for work the following day. Most of the drive was on roads with dense bushes and trees on the other side. The real creepy ones you see in a lot of movies. Anyways, I had been driving for about 45 minutes and I was starting to get really tired. You know how sometimes you just suddenly become really tired out of nowhere? Well, yeah, that happened to me. I knew I wasn't going to last, but I didn't come across any place that I felt that I could park and safely sleep. Anyway, after it became clear to me that I wasn't going to find a place to pull up and my tiredness wasn't going away, I did something very questionable. I pulled over to the side of the road onto the grass, behind some bushes, to try and hide my car away from anyone else who was going to come past. The roads weren't empty. I came across another car every few minutes or so. So I made a mental note at that time, 11:22, and then I fell asleep. Some time later, I was awoken by a scratching sound. I looked at the clock, 11:50. The sound stopped after a few seconds, and because I was still extremely tired, I didn't bother looking around and simply went back to sleep. I was later woken by the same sound, and it was now 12:40. This time it had really freaked me out. And because the sound didn't stop, the thought ran across my mind that it was just an animal inspecting the car. But why would it return almost an hour after it had left the previous time? I looked in my rearview mirror and just managed to catch the glimpse of something running away into the forest. Now at the time, I thought it was the infamous hook killer. You know, the one that had scratched up that couple's car and then slaughtered the guy when he got out to investigate? Screw that, I thought to myself. So I got the hell out of there. There was a bend no more than 100 yards up the road, and as I came around it, there was a car parked off to the side of the road with the driver's side door opened. I slowed down just to look to see if there was anyone in there. There wasn't. Then I looked in my rearview mirror. I didn't see anything, and all of a sudden, this guy comes sprinting at the corner and he starts screaming at me, shouting stuff like, "Hey! Hey you! Get out of my car now!" I noped out of there and sped off. I never saw the guy again. Moral of the story? Don't sleep on the side of a deserted road. Now, I don't know about you, but I know that if I were in the same circumstance, my nope detector would have been going off and I would have been way the hell out of there. Better yet, I don't think I would have ever shown up. My thing is, I would rather crash than have to sit there and get potentially murdered in the side of the road. Our next story comes from Can You Say Throwaway 19. My house sits further back in the lot than most other houses. It's a strange layout as well. The sidewalk runs the length of the living room and ends in the front porch, which lets into the living room. Large windows that do not open allow great light to get into the living room as well, but at the cost of no privacy. Now, with the rest of my family on vacation and having the house to myself, I decided I'd get smashed. Well, I passed out on the couch in the living room at about 9, when I realized I was too scared to walk back to my own room. The couch is right underneath these big windows, and I woke up suddenly not knowing why. I had a severe case of the chills, and I could not figure out why. Then the banging started. It came from right above me. I did not move, but I had opened my eyes and looked up at the window. Someone was standing there, pounding on the glass without moving. I looked at the cable box. It was around 3 in the morning. The banging continues, then it stopped suddenly. But I did not move. Suddenly it commences again. Coming from 2 different directions now. Someone is banging on the window, and the other person is banging on the front door, and kept doing it. They would not go away. Finally, after about 40 minutes, they quit. It was the most terrifying event I can recall at the moment. It made me a nervous wreck after that. I called a friend the next day to see if they would come over and stay for the rest of the week, and the response was, "What the hell for? So we can both be murdered in our sleep? Thanks a lot, jerk." In all fairness, I think everyone has that friend that's just overly brutally honest, that will just tell it like it is regardless of the situation. Now, I don't know if this was more of a case of the paranormal, the supernatural, or this was just 2 idiots banging on this door. Let me know in the comments what you think. Our next story comes from WoollyBoy76. A few years back, I woke up in the middle of the night. We had a 2-month-old newborn sleeping in the room next door. I had a video monitor on beside my table so that my wife and I could easily check on him. So I clicked the button that turns on the video image, and what I saw scared me like nothing ever before. My baby boy was gone. Now I know that instinct should have made me run right into my baby's room, but instead, I froze. I looked over and my wife was sleeping next to me. Finally, I moved, but not to run into the other room like I should have done. Instead, I turned up the volume on the baby monitor. I heard another woman's voice singing a lullaby. I'm not kidding. Another woman was singing to my baby in a very soft, gentle, melodic voice. I don't remember what the song was. Something like, "Go to sleep, little baby." Finally, my freeze broke. I jumped up and ran through the hallway and burst into my boy's room. He was sound asleep in his crib. No woman, no singing. It would be at this time that I'd like to apologize to my audience that listens to my videos for my awful, tone-deaf, singing type whatever that was. I have no clue. I know that it's said that there's a level of parental instinct that every parent has, like this primal thing whenever they have a child, but I don't know if I could go in there if I heard creepy voices and missing children and stuff like that. I've watched too many scary videos, I suppose. Our next story comes to us from Run Amok Girl. This happened to us in the mid-60s. We lived on a dead-end gravel road without any streetlights. It must have been summer because the front door was wide open with only the screen door closed. It was after dark and the whole family was in the living room watching TV. The whole family included both my parents and my two siblings. My attention was taken away from the TV show to the sound of a car slowing, coming down the road, and a woman inside screaming the most blood-curdling scream I've ever heard. I'm sure none of us decided to get up and look out the door. We were just there, sitting and looking in no time flat. The car had turned around and was parked facing down the road the way it had come in. No lights inside or out. The screaming just went on and on. My heart was pounding and I couldn't catch my breath. Finally, my mother moved and turned on the porch light. A long moment later, the car started to slowly drive off, down the road. She continued to scream as the car drove out of sight. At this point, my mother shut off the front porch light and everyone just went back to their places and sat down. No one said anything. No one did anything. I couldn't believe my parents weren't going to do anything. No one ever spoke of it again. That's the creepiest thing about that night. Not the spooky car with the screaming woman, but my zombie parents with no reaction to a nightmare in their own front drive. Jesus, man. I know about the bystander effect, but there's no one else there to help that lady. Like, how could you just not do anything, you know? I mean, honestly, that's just kind of the mentality of the 60s. No one would do anything if it didn't just directly impact or affect them, you know? But that was our creepy Reddit reading for today. If you liked my videos, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Comment down below what you thought about it. This is my first time doing it. I am so excited to be here, guys. I'm going to be trying to post once a week here, and I post twice a day on TikTok, so please go follow me there too. Thank you so much for the support, guys.